Have you ever wondered why some of the wealthiest people on earth, millionaires, CEOs, even celebrities, stop buying homes after 50 and start renting instead? It sounds crazy, right? We've all been told that owning a home is the ultimate financial goal, that it's the American dream. But what if that dream was never really designed for people who understand how money really works? A recent analysis found that in more than 20 major U.S. metro areas, the monthly cost of owning a home is at least 50% higher than renting. Among very high earners, households earning $750,000 plus, the percentage renting increased to 10.5% between 2018 to 2022. Statistics has also shown that in 35 of the 50 largest U.S. metropolitan areas, the share of wealthy renters in the top 20% of incomes in that metro, increased from 2019-2023. Examples. In Raleigh, NC, the share went from 4.8% to 7.7%. In Orlando, FL, from 8.5% to tied 10.8%. What these stats suggest is that individuals are not staying strictly committed to homeownership as the only path to success. Renting is increasingly a strategic choice, not a fallback. The trend is especially strong in expensive markets and among those who value liquidity, flexibility, and lower obligation. In many markets, the monthly financial burden of owning is becoming much higher relative to renting, making renting more appealing even for those who can afford to buy. The shift is backed by data, not just anecdote. The number of millionaire rental households is significantly increasing. Welcome to the Street Smart Secrets, your trusted source for practical, powerful, and easy-to-understand financial wisdom. In this video, we're diving deep into the shocking truth about renting versus buying. And trust me, it's not what you've been told. The wealthy aren't running from ownership, they're escaping the financial trap that keeps most people broke. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why millionaires rent after 50, how it protects their wealth, and why buying a home could secretly be the biggest financial mistake of your life. Stay with me. This might change the way you see wealth forever. Reason 1. Freedom over possession. You've probably heard it your whole life. Owning a home means you've made it. It's the so-called dream, the house, the keys, the picket fence. But what if I told you that, for the wealthy, that dream comes with invisible chains? Here's the truth. After 50, many rich people realize something powerful. Freedom is more valuable than possession. See, when you're young, buying a home feels like security. But when you're older and financially stable, it can start to feel like a trap. Wealthy people understand that ownership isn't the same as freedom. When you own a house, it owns you back. The mortgage, the maintenance, the taxes, all of it demands your time, money, and energy. You can't just pack up and move. You can't pivot easily. That house becomes an anchor, and the rich don't like anchors. They prefer wings. At 50 and beyond, priorities shift. The wealthy have spent decades building businesses, investing, and chasing goals. They reach a point where the biggest luxury isn't a mansion, it's mobility. The freedom to live anywhere, travel anytime, and make decisions without being tied down. Renting gives them that. They can live in New York this year, Dubai the next, and Bali after that. No strings attached. Think about it. When you rent, you're not stuck with the endless repairs or the stress of a property market crash. You simply live where you love and move when it no longer fits. For the wealthy, that's priceless. They understand that flexibility is the new status symbol. Let's hit a quick reality check. The average person spends decades paying off a home they barely enjoy, all in the name of ownership. Meanwhile, the rich rent beautiful spaces with full amenities and zero headaches. They're not losing, they're leveraging. They've learned that control doesn't mean owning something forever. It means having the freedom to let go when it stops serving you. Here's the key mindset shift. The poor buy for pride, the middle class buy for comfort, but the rich choose based on freedom and control. It's not that they can't afford to buy, they simply value flexibility more than fixed assets. So the next time you see a millionaire renting, don't assume they're being cheap. They're being smart. They've realized that true wealth isn't about stacking properties. It's about living life on your terms. Because in the end, ownership can tie you down, but freedom lets you grow. Reason 2. Liquidity and flexibility. Here's a little secret most people don't realize. Wealth isn't about how many properties you own. It's about how fast and freely your money can move. After 50, the rich start thinking differently. They ask, how can I make my money work harder for me instead of being trapped in walls and a roof? That's where liquidity and flexibility come in. When you buy a house, you're locking up hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes even millions, in one spot. That money isn't growing, it isn't moving, and it certainly isn't flexible. Even if your house appreciates, it's tied to a specific location, a market, and a long process if you want to access it. For the wealthy, that's dead weight. They don't like it. They like freedom. Renting, on the other hand, keeps cash liquid. Every dollar that isn't tied up in a house can be used for opportunities that actually multiply wealth. Investing in stocks, launching a business, buying a stake in a startup, or even seizing a quick real estate deal elsewhere. Flexibility isn't just convenient, it's financial power. When an opportunity knocks, you can answer immediately. You don't have to wait 6 months to sell a house, deal with agents, or navigate the stress of closing. Here's another thing. Life after 50 isn't static. Kids move out, businesses evolve, markets fluctuate, and dreams change. The wealthy don't want to be shackled to one property while the rest of the world moves forward. Renting allows them to pivot with ease. Want to downsize to a luxury apartment near the beach? Go ahead. Want to test living in a new city for a year? Done. They stay mobile, while most homeowners are stuck, waiting for the market or neighborhood to cooperate. Let's be real. Most people think renting is throwing money away, but the rich know the truth. It's investing in freedom and opportunity. Every dollar spent on rent is still a controlled, deliberate expense, and it's nothing compared to tying up capital in a property that may or may not grow. Renting gives them leverage, control over cash, control over time, and control over life. Here's the reality check. Liquidity isn't flashy. It doesn't make a dramatic Instagram post, but it does let the wealthy pivot, grow, and multiply their assets faster than anyone chained to a mortgage ever could. In other words, renting isn't a loss, it's a strategic advantage. So the next time someone tells you renting is a waste, remember this: the rich aren't trapped by their homes. They're free to move, free to invest, and free to grow. And in the game of wealth after 50, freedom and flexibility beat ownership every single time. Reason 3. Avoiding the hidden costs of ownership. Most people only see the price tag when it comes to buying a home. They think, if I can afford the mortgage, I'm set. But here's the reality. The true cost of owning a house is way more than the mortgage payment. And after 50, the wealthy have learned this the hard way, and they've found a smarter way around it: renting. Think about it for a second. A home isn't just a place to live, it's a constant stream of expenses. Property taxes, insurance, HOA fees, utilities, repairs, renovations, lawn care, the list goes on. A roof leak? That's thousands of dollars. Heating system dies? Another massive bill. Paint starts peeling, appliances break, plumbing clogs. Suddenly your dream home feels like a money pit. Most people don't calculate these hidden costs until it's too late. Wealthy people see this differently. After 50, their focus shifts from owning to preserving and growing wealth. Why tie up hundreds of thousands of dollars in a depreciating liability when renting allows you to live in luxury without worrying about broken toilets or roof repairs? Your rent covers the space, the maintenance, and sometimes even amenities you wouldn't dream of affording if you owned outright. Here's the motivational twist. The wealthy understand that money saved on maintenance and unexpected repairs is money that can grow exponentially elsewhere. That's right. Every dollar not wasted on fixing an aging water heater or repainting the walls can be reinvested into stocks, businesses, or passive income streams that actually produce returns. Owning a home might make you comfortable, but renting makes you strategic. And here's a reality check most people ignore. The older you get, the more maintenance headaches multiply. At 50 plus, dealing with emergency repairs isn't just annoying, it's stressful. Wealthy people don't want to spend their golden years stressed over a leaking roof. They'd rather pay rent and focus on freedom, family, travel, and wealth growth. That's quality of life, and it's priceless. Another subtle point: renting reduces exposure to market volatility. Even if your house appreciates, the hidden costs can eat into your gains. Roof replacement, plumbing fixes, property taxes rising unexpectedly, it all chips away at your net worth. Renting shifts that risk to the landlord while you maintain liquidity and flexibility. So the next time someone tells you, owning is always better than renting, remember this: wealthy people don't avoid buying because they can't afford it. They avoid it because they understand the hidden costs. They know that money isn't meant to sit stagnant or disappear in repairs. It's meant to grow, multiply, and buy freedom. At the end of the day, renting isn't giving up ownership, it's taking control. It's making a smart, deliberate choice that protects wealth, reduces stress, and frees up your life for bigger, better opportunities. Reason 4: market timing and risk management. Let's get real for a moment. Most people think buying a house is a safe bet. Property always goes up in value, right? Not always. The truth is, real estate markets are cyclical, unpredictable, and sometimes brutal. And this is exactly why wealthy people often choose to rent after 50. They're masters of market timing and risk management. Here's the reality check: real estate can drop in value overnight. Remember the 2008 housing crash? Millions of people lost their homes or saw their life savings tied up in properties that suddenly became liabilities. Wealthy individuals aren't reckless. They've seen history, and they know that owning a home isn't risk-free. Renting allows them to avoid market traps while keeping their wealth flexible and liquid. Think about it this way: when you rent, you're essentially waiting for the perfect moment to strike. If property prices are inflated, you don't overpay. If the market crashes, you don't panic or lose equity. The wealthy don't rush into buying. They wait, observe, and move only when conditions are ideal. That patience is a strategic advantage that most homeowners never even consider. And here's a truth most people overlook: owning property comes with hidden exposure. Your house is tied to one location, one neighborhood, and one local economy. A sudden shift in the market or neighborhood dynamics can drastically affect your home's value. The wealthy mitigate that risk by renting. They live comfortably, maintain flexibility, and preserve capital for investments that are diversified and far less vulnerable to local swings. It's also about mental freedom. Owning a home can create anxiety about market fluctuations. Every headline about falling prices or rising interest rates becomes personal stress. The wealthy understand that stress kills focus and productivity. Renting removes that burden entirely. They know they don't need to tie up hundreds of thousands of dollars in a house to feel secure. They have diversified investments and strategic assets that truly grow wealth. Here's the motivational takeaway: market timing isn't just about real estate. It's a mindset. The wealthy don't act impulsively. They observe, analyze, and strike when the odds are in their favor. Renting after 50 is simply part of that mindset. They've already built wealth, and they aren't willing to gamble it on a single ill-timed property purchase. So while society glorifies homeownership as a sign of success, the rich see it differently. They see risk, timing, and opportunity, and they act accordingly. Renting isn't a compromise. It's a calculated move that protects wealth, reduces stress, and keeps them nimble. Remember, being rich isn't about owning the most property. It's about controlling risk, timing your moves, and having the freedom to pivot when opportunities arise. And renting? It's the ultimate tool for that. Reason 5: tax and legal strategy. Here's something most people never think about when buying a home. Ownership isn't just about money. It's about taxes, liability, and legal exposure. And this is exactly why many wealthy people choose to rent after 50. They've realized that owning property can create more problems than it solves if not handled strategically. First, let's talk taxes. Owning multiple properties or even a single expensive home can create a tangled web of property taxes, capital gains taxes, and estate planning headaches. Every year your tax bill grows, and suddenly that dream home feels like a drain on your wealth. Wealthy individuals aren't interested in paying unnecessary taxes. They want to optimize, protect, and grow their capital. Renting simplifies this. They can live in luxury without creating a mountain of tax paperwork or liabilities tied to property ownership. Next is liability. Owning a home opens you up to legal exposure. Someone slips on your driveway? Water damage affects a neighbor? You can get dragged into lawsuits that eat into your net worth. Renting shifts these risks to the landlord, protecting the wealth you've worked decades to build. The rich understand that risk management is as important as making money. There's also estate planning to consider. Owning property means it becomes part of your estate. That may sound fine until you realize it could trigger inheritance taxes, probate issues, or family disputes. Renting, on the other hand, keeps your assets flexible, simple, and easier to manage for wealth transfer purposes. This is one of the reasons many ultra-high net worth individuals keep property minimal in their personal names after a certain age. Here's the motivational insight. The wealthy don't avoid buying because they can't afford it. They avoid it because they know the system better than most. They've seen how easily a poorly structured property purchase can erode wealth over time. By renting, they reduce exposure, simplify their financial picture, and free up capital for higher return investments. Let's hit a reality check. Most middle-class homeowners don't think about taxes and legal exposure until it's too late. By the time you realize that your house is more liability than asset, you're stuck, locked into a property that drains money, time, and energy. The rich circumvent this entirely by renting, keeping both their cash and their legal risk flexible. Finally, renting also gives them negotiation power. They can choose premium locations, premium spaces, and premium services without the burden of long-term ownership costs. It's freedom, security, and efficiency all rolled into one. So the next time someone says, you should buy a house, it's an investment, remember this: the wealthy know the truth. Owning property is not automatically wealth building. In fact, for strategic, legal, and tax reasons, renting after 50 is often the smarter, safer, and more profitable choice. Reason 6, lifestyle evolution. By the time you hit 50, life looks different. Kids have grown up, careers have matured, and the idea of living for tomorrow starts shifting to living for today. This is exactly why many wealthy people make a surprising choice. They start renting instead of buying. The reason is simple: lifestyle evolution. Think about it. Owning a home comes with responsibilities you don't always notice when you're younger. Lawn care, repairs, property taxes, and all the little chores can quickly dominate your time. For the wealthy, who have already achieved financial security, these tasks feel like unnecessary distractions. They've realized that life after 50 isn't about maintaining property. It's about freedom, comfort, and enjoying the fruits of decades of hard work. Renting opens doors to new experiences. Want a luxury apartment downtown with concierge service and amazing amenities? Renting makes that effortless. Fancy a villa on the beach for 6 months, then a penthouse in the city? Renting allows seamless transitions. Owning a home ties you down physically and mentally, while renting gives the wealthy flexibility to upgrade, downsize, or relocate without losing money or energy. Here's the motivational angle. The wealthy have learned to align their lifestyle with their values, not with societal expectations. After 50, happiness and experiences often outweigh accumulation. Owning multiple properties just to show success is less important than living a stress-free, fulfilling life. Renting provides that freedom while still offering luxury, comfort, and security. Another reality check: owning property can limit spontaneity. Market conditions, mortgage obligations, and neighborhood stability all affect your choices. Renters, however, can move quickly when opportunities arise, whether that's traveling, starting a new business, or exploring a new city. The wealthy aren't constrained by walls. They're guided by strategy and lifestyle. Also, let's not ignore the emotional component. After 50, a home can become a burden, a constant reminder of obligations and upkeep. Wealthy individuals understand that true wealth isn't about the size of your house. It's about time, energy, and experiences. Renting reduces emotional and mental load while keeping life rich in the ways that really matter. So, here's the takeaway. Lifestyle evolution isn't just a phrase, it's a strategy. The rich don't cling to ownership for ego or appearance. They adapt. They prioritize freedom, comfort, and flexibility. They rent to match the life they've earned, not the one society tells them to live. In short, renting after 50 isn't about losing status. It's about gaining freedom. It's about aligning lifestyle with wealth and enjoying the next chapter of life on their own terms. Reason 7. Wealth protection. Here's the final and perhaps the most underrated reason why wealthy people choose to rent after 50. Wealth protection. At first glance, it might seem counterintuitive. How does renting protect wealth? Isn't owning a home an investment? That's exactly the misconception the rich are counting on. By renting strategically, they are actually shielding their assets, maintaining privacy, and minimizing risk exposure. Owning property, especially high-value real estate, comes with visibility. Anyone can see it, and unfortunately that can make you a target, whether it's lawsuits, creditors, or other legal entanglements. A house in your name is a tangible, public asset, and the rich know that sometimes the less visible your wealth, the safer it is. Renting allows them to live in luxury without exposing all of their financial details to the world. Let's talk about financial safety. Property values can fluctuate. Even in prime locations, market downturns or neighborhood changes can reduce a home's value. The wealthy mitigate this risk by keeping their money liquid and invested in diversified assets. Renters avoid being trapped in a declining property market. They still enjoy comfort and prestige, but without tying up capital that could be working harder elsewhere. Another key point, liability. Homeownership brings responsibilities. If someone gets hurt on your property, if repairs are neglected, or if a legal dispute arises, you could face costly claims. Wealthy individuals understand that legal exposure is real and sometimes unpredictable. Renting transfers that liability to the landlord, giving them peace of mind and protecting their fortune. There's also estate strategy to consider. High net worth individuals often want to minimize complications for heirs. Multiple properties can create tangled estate issues, higher taxes, and family disputes. Renting simplifies their portfolio, making it easier to transfer wealth efficiently while maintaining privacy and flexibility. Here's the motivational insight. Wealth isn't just about accumulation, it's about preservation. The wealthy aren't taking unnecessary risks. They're making calculated moves to ensure the assets they've built over decades are protected, flexible, and optimized. Renting is one of those strategic moves. It's quiet, unflashy, but extremely effective. Now let's hit a reality check. Most people assume buying a house is the ultimate security, but in truth, it can sometimes be the opposite. It ties up capital, exposes you to liability, and can make your wealth publicly visible. The rich have learned that true security comes from control, flexibility, and discretion, not just ownership. So the next time you see someone with massive wealth choosing to rent a luxury apartment or a high-end villa after 50, don't assume they're being frugal or reckless. They're being smart. They're protecting their money, their legacy, and their freedom, all while enjoying a lifestyle that most homeowners could only dream of. Because in the end, wealth isn't just about making money. It's about keeping it, growing it, and living life on your own terms. Renting after 50? For the rich, it's a powerful strategic choice. So, if you want to truly enjoy the benefits of renting, there are two important things you need to do. 1. Change your mindset about renting. Stop seeing it as a failure or a step back. Renting is a strategic choice, not a compromise. 2. Understand the myths around housing. Forget the old ideas like, I'm just paying my landlord's mortgage, I'm throwing money away, or I need to buy to build equity. These are misconceptions that keep most people trapped in traditional thinking. A few reality check caveats. Homeownership is still the norm for many wealthy households. These stats show a growing minority choosing to rent, not a wholesale abandonment of buying. The decision to rent versus buy depends heavily on market conditions, interest rates, taxes, location, and personal goals. What works in one city may not work in another. Some data focuses on high earners, e.g. 750 cal plus households, rather than ultra-wealthy, mainly in U.S. markets, so be careful applying it globally. Renting doesn't automatically guarantee better wealth building. It's what you do with the freed-up capital that really counts, whether it's investments, diversification, or creating new income streams. Here's the takeaway. Renting isn't about giving up. It's about freedom, flexibility, and using your money strategically. Shift your mindset, see through the myths, and use your capital wisely, and you'll understand why the wealthy choose to rent after 50. If this video opened your eyes, hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Would you choose freedom over ownership? Let's start the conversation. Remember, wealth isn't about the house you own. It's about the control you have over your money, your life, and your future.